Go ahead, I would like to bring the panel up to come. I want to give the opportunity, we're going to have we'll have the microphone in the audience so that if you have questions for our panelists, you can start to think of those. I'm going to let Chris and Kaylee kind of open things up and share about just the process and how this project evolved. And then I want to open it up so if you have questions for our filmmakers on what this was like. You just had the opportunity to get to know 4 of our residents in a very intimate way. And so I want to extend an invitation to our guests that if you are interested in learning more about us as a community, we'd love to get to know you. And so if you have questions or thinking about maybe what your next chapter holds, we'd love to meet with you. And so we invite you to come back to Stone Ridge and sit with us and explore that. But at this time, I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to start with Chris, and I'm going to and Kaylee has a microphone, and kind of let them share how this process evolved. So thank you.
Thanks to everyone who came out. This was such a privilege and a pleasure to be able to work with these lovely people and help them to tell their own stories, or just a little piece of their own stories. So it's been one of my favorite parts of this year, doing this workshop, honestly, and it was a learning experience on both sides. So each filmmaker had their own iPad. That was really they filmed with the iPad, they edited on the iPad, and all the decisions were theirs. So Kaylee and I did our best to assist them to get to the goals that they had for their own films. So I'm not going to say anything else except that check out Green Planet Films if you're browsing online after dinner. We distribute documentaries to the educational market, so libraries, universities, other places where film is used for educational purposes. And I'd like to just pass this on and see if there are any questions for the filmmakers.
Speak up. There's a mic that'll come around.
Hi, I just want to say that I really felt that whether it was scripted or not, I felt like I was just sitting across from you and just chatting with you like a friend, and I really felt the authenticity, and I really feel like I know you, and I really thought it was very well done. And also the other comment that I have is that I'm just so amazed with the women because not a lot of men went to college when you went to college, and so I really commend that and just recognize that, and learned a lot about your resilience and your courage and your strength. So I really got a lot out of that. And Cormac, I really like what you said to your grandchildren about the bullying, because I work in the schools with writing, and they write a lot about being bullied. So I really loved hearing your words.
I know one question that I wanted to pull from the panel was, I think, to just share, and if maybe each of you had a few words to just share about what this experience meant to you, and maybe what was maybe surprising. So about the experience, if there was something that surprised you about going through this. So I'll start with Cormac.
Thank you. Well, what was surprising is the opportunity to sit back and reflect, and what you come up with. In my case, I was talking to the grandchildren and trying to reflect upon some of the things that were going on in their world. I wanted to help encourage them not only to develop interests, but not worry about the small stuff that goes on in schools and between siblings, and just try to create their own deep keel. So what Stonebridge really gave us the opportunity to do was you know, I didn't come here to make a movie, though I've been involved with Chris in other movies before, but this was a really very personal statement. So I felt very moved by what I had done, and when I look at it this afternoon, I was impressed by all of the assistance that I got from Kaylee and Chris. So I'll pass this along.
I think that I've forgotten what the question was.
How did it make you feel? Yeah, what was the experience like? Anything that surprised you?
I was so glad to be able to do this. It meant a lot in terms of time, and but I learned how to use the computer systems that were required, and to be able to go back and look at that music in my life, and it was very important from very young age. I really, it made me see how important it was to me, and now that I'm going to be 90 in a few months, I'd like to, I'm very involved in some other activities here, conservation and such, but it made me want to go back to my music. And so I've already engaged another person to play the piano with, to play duets with, so I'm getting started. And I think it's, and I think it's partly because I made this movie and looked back at music in my life.
I don't know what to say to you except that there's a lot to do here. Pick and choose what you're going to do for the day or the afternoon, because there are so many opportunities to do different things. And if there isn't something here that you like to do, you can start it yourself. You put up a notice and you invite people to join you, and that's how our quilt groups got started here. Because there was another lady that was, that I knew from the outside that I had quilted with for about 18 years, and I knew she lived here, so I got together with her and said, what do you think? Well, shall we start something? And we did. So here we are. I've been here 6 years at this point in time, and we started out the first year with giving out 3 quilts, because that's all we had ready come Veterans Day. Last year, we were up to 17 quilts. This year, it looks like 15. And I don't know if Cormac is on that list yet. I'll check. Anyway, it's we're happy to be here. The film was interesting to do. I like Cormac, was aiming at my children and grandchildren. As you saw in the last picture, those 3 little kids that were so cute and cuddly at 5 and 6 years old are now the oldest one is in his 60s at this point in time. And my idea was to start this and get them to think about it, and perhaps in their lifetime they will add to it and give something to their own children. So that's where I stand at this point in time. It's been a pleasure. I thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the whole thing, because I certainly did, watching each other's films. It's really a pleasure.
I don't know what to add to all of my erudite friends here, but this is a great place, Stone Ridge, and to come up with this idea was quite remarkable, and we were kind of a group that got kind of attached to each other a bit, and it helped bring the recent part of my life into a kind of focus. And believe it or not, 9 years goes by very fast. It surprised me that to
to look back and see, why, my goodness, it was that long ago that I came here. I enjoy the people here, the activities, and this is one of the most unusual that I've gotten into, aside from newsletters and chorus and that kind of thing, the general stuff. This is special.
Joan reminded me of something, when you come here, it's really important to get involved in the activities. Not right away, give yourself a chance to unpack and settle. But it really is important to get involved in some activity. And as she said, start your own if you don't find what you want.
I just want to thank you all for authoring such an unusual tales of your lives. It's just fascinating. And what I felt as you described your life was you weren't sitting on the sidelines. You took the circumstances that you were dealt and you brought something to those circumstances. And I was thankful for everyone in your lives to have brought you to this, to let you live your lives as you lived it. So even though you were speaking about yourself, I felt that there was a cast of thousands in your stories. And Cormac, if you're acknowledging, if you're encouraging your descendants to be Keel-like, what a great company of shipwrights you're in, because they are Keel-like in their lives. So thank you all.
I'd just like to comment on the cast of thousands, and that's a very important point. You never know who you're going to affect with this kind of project. A lot of these filmmakers did that for their direct descendants or in honor of their forefathers, but there are some times where later on down the line, somebody you have no idea knew your parent or another relative hears about this kind of thing, and it makes a difference to them. You do not ever know all the connections you have. You can't imagine how many different connections we all have. So the cast of thousands, 100% correct. Just from my point of view, I would feel like I work here for Stone Ridge. I assisted in this program, but I feel almost like a surrogate child or grandchild of these wonderful people, only because I think about my own grandparents or my own parents, and if they had done this kind of thing. I also already have a pre-existing connection to Mrs. Weigel. She and my grandmother were friends, so she's known me since I was about a wee lass, about 6 years old. So to hear her legacy and her story that I'd never heard before. So for 35 plus years, I've known Mrs. Weigel in one particular light, and now I know her in another. And it's the same kind of thing. With all the residents I see here, we have different interactions, but now I feel like there's a deeper connection here, and I'm very grateful for that.
I might just add to the issue of thousands that not only Kylie's relationship here, but I think, I forget which two of you from Woonsocket, they found that they had a background in Woonsocket and they went back to visit there. And also in my own life, I married a young lady from Worcester. So I mean, there's all of these overlaps of community, which has been such fun. We think that we're such a diverse society, here, but it's fun when you see these overlaps. So anyway.
I just think you should be so proud. It's an amazing thing you've done, and it's so creative, and it's so original, and you've come so far. Oh, thanks, Betsy. Let's get some sex. Unless there's any more questions.
Are there any other questions? And maybe if you don't want to ask them publicly, we do have some refreshments, and we invite you and encourage you to feel free to linger and enjoy some refreshments in the back and mingle with one another. My hope and what I've been inspired is, and a big takeaway that I have gleaned from their experience, is that every life is important, every story is important. And to have the opportunity to document it and share it is a real gift, not only to those that you intended to see it, but really to all of us as well, and that this lives on. And so I thank you all for being here to be a part of this, and we hope to see you again. So please enjoy and have a wonderful afternoon.